Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Chikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radha Kundi Giri Govardhana ki jai. Vrindavan Dhamma ki jai. Mathura Dhamma ki jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dhamma ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dhamma ki jai. Gangamaya Jamuna Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Maharani ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya. Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nivasesa Sanyavadi Paskachade Satarane Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru and Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatham Vitam Sam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Vanchakapati Vishaki Pasindhyavata Janam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevi Namo Namaha Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So December 21st, 2018 in Mayapur Dham, India, and reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 9, the dynasty of Amsumam, text 45. Devai kama varodato mayam tribhuvaneshvarai navrinetam maham kamam bhūta-bhāvanā-bhāvanāha. Please chant. Ladies? Devai, by the demigods, kama varaha, the benediction to have whatever he wanted. Dattaha was given, mayam, unto me, tribhuvanāmṛta-saṅgha, by the demigods, the protectors of the three worlds, who can do whatever they like within this material world. Navrine, did not accept, tam, that, aham, I, kamam, everything desirable within this material world. Bhava-bhāvanāmṛta-saṅgha, being fully absorbed in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore not interested in anything material. So this is a very unique situation, if we can just imagine ourselves in this situation. Translation: the demigods, the directors of the three worlds, wanted to give me whatever benediction I desired. Imagine that. So imagine if all the demigods came to you and said, "We'll give you whatever you want. Anything." I did not want their benedictions, however, because I'm interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who created everything in this material world. I am more interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead than in all material benedictions. Purport. A devotee is always transcendentally situated, Paraṁ dṛṣṭvā nivartate. One who has seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead is no longer interested in material sense enjoyment. Even such an exalted devotee as Dhruva Mahārāja went to the forest for the sake of material benefit. But when he actually saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he refused to accept any material benediction. He said, svāmin kṛtārtho varaṁ yāce. My dear Lord, I am fully satisfied with whatever you have given me or not given me. I have nothing to ask for you, for I am fully satisfied to be engaged in your service. This is the mentality of a pure devotee who does not want anything material or spiritual from the personality of Godhead. Our Krishna consciousness movement is therefore called kṛṣṇa-bhāvanāmṛta-saṅgha, the association of persons who are simply satisfied in thoughts of Krishna. That's a high bar, isn't it? Our Krishna consciousness movement. You don't have to raise your hands, but I'm just wondering how many of us could say we are simply satisfied with thoughts of Krishna, and the whole movement is supposed to be like this, according to Srila Prabhupada. Being absorbed in thoughts of Krishna is neither expensive nor troublesome. Krishna says, man-manā bhava mad-bhakto, mad-yājī mam namaskuru. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, offer obeisances, and worship me. Bhagavad Gita 9:34. Anyone can always think of Krishna without difficulties or obstacles. What do you think of that one? So we have not expensive, not troublesome, no difficulties, no obstacles. This is called kṛṣṇa-bhāvanāmṛta. One who is absorbed in kṛṣṇa-bhāvanāmṛta has no material benefits to ask from Krishna. Instead, such a person prays to the Lord for the benediction of being able to spread his glories all over the world. Mama janmani, janmanīśvare, bhavatād bhaktir, ahaitukī, tvayi. A Krishna-conscious person does not even want to stop his cycle of birth and death, which is what Prabhupada meant by a spiritual benediction. He simply prays, I may take birth as you like, but my only prayer is that I may be engaged in your service. Tvayi kama varaṁ mayam tri bhuvaneshwarai navrinetam aham kamam bhūta-bhāvanā. The demigods, the directors of the three worlds, wanted to give me whatever benediction I desired. I did not want their benedictions, however, because I'm interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead who created everything in this material world. I am more interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead than in all material benedictions. So I was just hearing Prabhupada speaking on Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, Bhumila apanalo vayu kamano buddharevacha. And he was speaking there about how desire is the source of everything. That this body we have now is due to our previous desires in other lifetimes, and frankly, even in this lifetime. Even within this lifetime, our desires develop our mind and body in a particular way. Now, of course, I think for most of us, does anyone here look in the mirror and say, wow, that's perfect? Or look at our life and say, wow, everything, just exactly. Anybody? So it's strange because we have this life, our family, our health, our income, our education, our friends, our physical appearance, our gender, our race, our nationality, due to our own desires. But the problem is that once we get that, we often don't like it. Isn't that a fact? Right? I wish this was a little smaller, this was a little bigger, I wish I was taller, shorter, skinnier, fatter. I wish I was married, I wish I wasn't married, I wish I had kids, I wish my kids would grow up. I wish I could have a beautiful home. Oh, I wish I could just be simple and get rid of everything. So we have these desires, and as soon as we get our desires, we don't like them, isn't it? Isn't it? We find something wrong with them. I was speaking the other day, this person, oh, I'm in love, I'm going to marry this wonderful devotee. And then he gets to know the devotee a little more. And he's saying, actually, she has this problem and that problem and this problem. And I already said I'm going to marry her, but I don't even know if I like her. And what am I going to do? And that's right, isn't it? Right? I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Our desires, the desire is actually the essence of being alive. Even the grass is desiring the heat and the water. And from the desires come all kinds of emotions, fear, anxiety, exuberance, wonder. And from the emotions come thoughts. I think I'll take this, I think I'll take this. And from there comes our action, which then entangles us in the law of karma. And our continuous desires are responsible for what's happening to us, but of course specifically the desires at the time of death. And this section of the Bhagavatam is specifically about someone who's about to die. So why especially at the time of death? So that became very clear to me. I've told this story many times. I was taking my Gurukul students out on a field trip. And on the way back, we saw these big billows of smoke in the sky, and the kid said, can we stop and see what that is? There was an apartment building on fire. And the fire was so strong that we had to stand many blocks away. We couldn't go close. And as we were watching, the fire engines came, and they started putting out the fire. And then we went up close, and we saw this one young woman barefoot on the sidewalk with 3 children. And she was saying that evidently it was a cooking fire. Some neighbor of hers had some oil on the stove and went to answer the phone, and the oil caught fire, and the fire went up through the walls. This woman was saying all of a sudden she saw fire coming out of her walls from her neighbors cooking, and she just grabbed her children. She didn't put on her shoes. She didn't get her money. She didn't get, her family photographs. She just took her children. So when your house is on fire, you will grab what's most important. Isn't that a fact? If we think, well, what's most important to me? Well, we can think about that, but when actually your house is on fire, you don't think about that. I'm sure this woman wasn't thinking. She just grabbed. So at the time of death, whatever has been most important to us in terms of desire is what the soul will try to grab, try to take that with them. At least let me take this with me. So the time of death indicates what is our most important desire. We can try to fool ourselves during our lifetime. The cheating propensity means we also cheat ourselves, correct? Yes? When I was newly in ISKCON, I remember praying to the Lord, I don't want anything material. I only want pure devotional service. Anyway, what happened next was interesting. But obviously I didn't want only pure devotional service. Basically, Krishna said, oh really? Let's try taking away this thing and that thing and see how you respond. And I went, no! Pure devotional service and that. Oh, and also that. And what about that? And can I have that too? All right, that's what the demigods are. They're Sakama devotees. We want to serve Krishna and. You understand? I want to serve Krishna and I want to be a controller of the world. Okay, become a demigod. So the time of death, there's no cheating. You can't cheat anymore. The real thing is exposed. And Krishna is very kind. Nitya nityanam chaitanya chaitanam eko bahunam yovidadati kaman. I was just the other day hearing Prabhupada saying that when we ask Krishna for some material desire, he will try to convince us, no, don't do that. Not a good idea. In our life also, if we see somebody making a foolish choice, we try to convince them, yes? Who here has tried to convince someone and failed to convince somebody? Who here has ever failed to convince somebody? Oh, some of you never even try, I would assume. So sometimes some friend or some relative, they're about to make a choice, and you can see, oh, this will not be very good. Don't do that. One devotee talked to me a couple days ago. He said, so I'm thinking of maintaining some devotee for 1 year to do a service. You know, giving them an apartment, giving them food, all facility. I said, I thought you have no income. He said, I have no income, but I have some savings. And I said, well, don't you have young children still at home? Well, yes, I do. I said, you have a wife, you have young children. If you spend all your savings to maintain somebody else, then how will you be maintained? I said, that's not very intelligent. I said, I don't think you should do this. So we may say to somebody, you know, this is not very intelligent, don't do this. But they may listen or they may not listen, isn't it? People tell us sometimes, please do this or don't do this. And we may listen, we may not listen. So Krishna tries to tell the soul, no, don't do that. But if we insist, okay. This is the essence of free will, that if we insist, I want this, Krishna says, okay, you try it. Even if Krishna knows very well, this is what Prabhupada explains is meant by Krishna knowing the future. Krishna knows the results of our desires. He knows the results of our decisions. But without giving us our desires, there's no free will, because we're not independent in fulfilling our desires. Have you noticed that also? Yes, there's 5 factors of action, and the top is daiva. Right? We may have some desire, but if Krishna doesn't allow, we can't fulfill. So he fulfills all of our desires, and you may say, well, he's not fulfilling all of my desires. I could list about 20 that he hasn't fulfilled. But he will. Some of our desires can't be fulfilled in this lifetime, which is one reason we take birth after birth after birth. You cannot fulfill all desires in one kind of body. Isn't that a fact? Some bodies are suitable for some things and not other things. So Krishna will fulfill all of our desires. And we don't have to worry. They will definitely be fulfilled. If this life we want to be rich and we are very poor, then Krishna will give us good intelligence. Give in charity, give in charity, give in charity, give in charity. And then next life will be rich. Is that clear? Everybody understand? So then the question should be, if everything is based on desire, and Krishna fulfills all desires, what's the best thing to desire? Isn't that a reasonable question? If I'm getting whatever I want, sooner or later, some things we want, we get immediately. You've had that experience? Everybody's had that experience? Some things you want and you just immediately get them? One time when I was in Auckland, I was walking back to my room from the temple, and I thought, I'd really like some cashews. This brief thought, and I come to my room, and on the door, somebody had put a bag of cashews with a rubber band. Some anonymous person, you know, I'm like, whoa. So some desires we get immediately, isn't it? Right? And some we're not going to get until next life. Or maybe 5 lifetimes or something. But if we know we're going to get everything that we desire, we should think, what should I desire? Because looking at this life, if this life is the result of my desires, and I'm not happy with everything in this life, then I'm a fool. Think about the logic of this. Whatever I want, I get, sooner or later. But when I get it, I often don't like it. And even if I like it, I'm getting things that are temporary. Dukalayam shashvatam. So either I get it and I'm like, oh, why did I want this? Or I get it and I go, wow, this is great, I want to keep it forever, and I can't. Yes? So I must be desiring the wrong things. So we ask this question, what should I desire? And here we're being told, don't desire anything material. Now what does that mean? What does material mean? You know, most people, when you talk to them about material, they think, oh, that means like a car, you know, or a house. They think of a thing. It means a thing. Or it means, you know, tasty food, or something like that, or a lot of money. But material actually means not the things, but something that I'm trying to enjoy in an illusion. Something that I'm trying to enjoy separately from Krishna. So we know our bodies are made up of many cells, correct? Everybody remembers that from school? And each cell is alive, yes? Is this correct? Am I correct? So all the little cells in my heart, my lungs, my brains, my intestines, and they're all alive. If they're all alive, they have their own little desire. Isn't it? I have some cell right now in my liver that's going, I want food. I want to reproduce. I want to be happy. They all want to be happy. And they all want to be happy. Now, how are my liver cells and intestinal cells and lung cells and brain cells, how are they going to be happy? By taking care of me. Is that true or not? Right? How are the little cells in my intestines going to be happy? They have to be assisting in the digestive process and the respiration process. And if they're assisting me in my overall digestion and respiration process, then when I eat and breathe, those little cells get food and oxygen. And their waste products get carried away, and they have facility to reproduce and have their own little life with whatever level of consciousness they have. So when they take care of me, I take care of them. Do you want to take care of all the cells in your body? Who here wants all the cells in their body to be happy? I hope everybody does. Don't you want your stomach cells and your lung cells to be happy? Are you a slave driver? Beat, heart! You beat for me! I don't care if you're happy or not. Is that how you feel about your heart? Anybody here? Do you want your heart to suffer? Your little muscles in your heart? Do you want them to suffer or do you want them to be happy? You want them to be happy, yeah? Do you care about them? So Krishna cares about us. Mamaivam sojiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Suradam sarvabhutanam. We're his parts and parcels and he loves us. Think how many hours every day we spend taking care of our body. We have some affection for our body. Krishna has affection for us. But if some little cell thinks, I'm going to be happy independently, what's that called? Cancer. As soon as a little cell says, I'm not going to work for the body, I'm going to work for myself. That's what cancer is. And as soon as that cell starts working for itself, it's going to kill the body. Now, we can't kill Krishna, obviously. But in other words, it cuts off its own benefit. It cuts off its own benefit. So that's material. Material is when I act like I'm a cancer in Krishna's body. So does he want me to be happy like that? No, it's not happiness. That's not happiness. It's like if you work, another example would be you work for a company and you're stealing from the company. I think 80% of all theft in shops is from the employees. Now, if it's a good company, if you work for the company, they take care of you. If it's a really good company, You don't even have to think about yourself. If you work for a really good company, really good employer, you just think about the mission of your employer, and they give you a salary, and they give you a desk and a computer or a car or whatever you need for your job. They give you vacations, they give you birthday parties. They give you everything you need, and you don't have to think, will I have enough money to pay my bills? All you think about is the company business. But as soon as you start thinking, what about me, and you start stealing from the company, then you end up harming the company. You end up harming your relationship with the company. So the employer doesn't want the employees to be happy like that. Krishna allows us to fulfill material desires, because otherwise there's no free will. But it's not favorable for us. We get cut off. We get cut off from our source of nourishment, and we start feeling empty. We feel that we're lacking something. We feel incomplete. We feel full of fear and anxiety. And we start looking for more and more and more ways to complete ourselves. So those desires we should not cultivate. Now, if we already have those desires, it's better to ask Krishna for them than to try to fulfill them independently. If I have a selfish desire, far better to ask Krishna than to fulfill it independently, because if I ask Krishna for it, I'm starting not to be independent in my desire. That's the trick. Can you all understand the logic of that? People say, what should I do with my material desire? Material desire means a desire to enjoy independently from Krishna. If I ask Krishna to fulfill my desire to enjoy independently of him, I am starting to depend on him. Do you follow? If I say, Krishna, please help me enjoy independently of you, that is a kind of dependence on him. And so it's tricky. He says, you want to enjoy separately from me? Ask me about it. And that pulls us into starting to align our desires with him. So don't hide your independent desires from Krishna and try to fulfill them independently. This is a mistake many devotees make. They go to Krishna, Krishna, give me pure devotional service. For all the other things, I'll deal with it myself. Or I'll pretend they're not there and crash and burn after 10 years of chanting Hare Krishna. That happens too. You try to pretend you don't have any separate desires, and then all of a sudden they explode on you one day, and we say, what happened to that devotee? Looked like such a nice devotee. But we're advised, come to the point where I really don't have any desires to enjoy independently. And here Prabhupada's saying nothing material, nothing spiritual, and he defines spiritual later in the purport as wanting to be free from birth and death. So that's another kind of selfish, independent desire. It's not wanting to be aligned with the will of the Lord. It's still thinking about what can I do for myself. So the highest desire is given here, and of course throughout the Shastra, over and over and over and over, and all of us know what it is. We could all recite it in our sleep. Pure devotional service. Service birth after birth. Whatever the Lord wants, being aligned with his will. Yes, everybody knows that? Everybody knows that? We all knew that? That wasn't like a new bit of information in this class. So why is that the highest thing to desire? Because it completely fulfills us. As so nicely explained here. Krishna is not a slave driver. Just like even I want my skin to be happy and healthy. I want my heart to be happy and healthy. I want my stomach to be happy and healthy. Even I want that. And I'm just a selfish, conditioned soul. So what to speak of, Krishna wants us to be happy. And how does he want us to be happy? He wants us to be happy being fully who we are. You know, I want my stomach cell to be happy as a stomach cell. I don't want my stomach cell to pretend to be a heart muscle. You understand? So we have who we are. We have who we are ultimately, spiritually. We have our swarup. We have our eternal form. We have our way we want to serve Krishna. It's not assigned to us like in communist China. You plow the field, but I'm a scholar. Go plow anyway, you know. Not like that. It's not like we say to Krishna, I really want to be a peacock. And he's like, too bad. The only opening is for squirrels. Go be a squirrel. You know, it's not like that. Peacock positions all filled, sorry. Our desire in service is what Krishna wants to fulfill. And even in this body, even with our false temporary identity, Krishna says repeatedly in the Bhagavad Gita, we should do our duty and not someone else's. Again, that's not a question of an assignment. It's a question of our nature, our guna and karma. How we feel most ourself, as the famous psychologist Abraham Maslow called it, self-actualization. What do I want to contribute to the Hare Krishna movement? Prabhupada said everyone has some extraordinary talent, and to serve Krishna with that talent means successful life. So even though this particular identity is temporary, it's not the real me, this body and this mind has a certain nature, a certain striving. And Krishna wants that used in his service. So when we connect with Krishna, Krishna wants us to be fully who we are in the happiest way possible. Therefore, we feel completely fulfilled. That's his desire. So how do we switch from thinking, well, if I do that, what will happen to me? If I actually were to surrender right now and I really truly were to just say, Krishna, I just want to align my will with yours, and I just want to serve you birth after birth. I just want to serve you birth after birth. If I said that, what would happen to me? Would I have to become a worm in the house of a devotee? Would he do that to me? You know, some of the things happened to me in this life weren't so nice, and we say it's Krishna's mercy, so, you know, if I really surrendered, I don't know what would happen. Maybe I'd lose my autonomy, maybe I'd lose my freedom, and maybe nobody would like me. There's that verse of Krishna loves you, he takes everything away, and your family doesn't even like you, and everybody will hate me. What am I going to do? I have all these fears and anxieties. So how am I going to make this switch? This was Arjuna's thing in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. He says, Krishna, you know, if I fight this war, my family will be dead. I won't be able to show them the kingdom, and all the husbands will be dead, and the women will have all these illegitimate children, and I'll be responsible, and I'm going to go to hell. I heard that from my authorities, you know, and if I do what you say, all these things will happen, and I'll just suffer, and I can't see how I'm going to get any happiness from killing my own kinsmen, even if I get a kingdom like the demigods in heaven, and I'm not going to do what you say, Krishna. Forget it. I have my own plan. I'd rather just live by begging. So we have this, isn't it? Yeah, that's the best desire. I'll be fully fulfilled, but I don't really believe it. I believe all these other things. So how are we going to change our desire? How are we going to get our feelings, our desires in line with our philosophy? If we didn't believe this philosophically, we would not be sitting here. Am I correct? We would be doing something else. So we must believe it, or we wouldn't be here. So on one level we believe it, but on another level we're not sure. So how do we get these things in alignment? And Prabhupada says here, it's not expensive. It's not, what else did he say? It's not what? Troublesome. And he said it could be done without difficulties and without obstacles. And you may read that and go, I don't know if that's my experience. Why is it that in order to actually get the desire of the soul in line with this obvious, logical reality that we constantly experience, that when my desires are aligned with Krishna, I'm fulfilled, and when they're not, I'm not? Why is it not troublesome? Why is it not expensive? Why is it without difficulty and without obstacles? Because it's already there. It's not something to be gained from any other source. It's already there. We already naturally desire only to love and serve Krishna. It's already in the heart. Prabhupada wrote in a letter, you should know, you've asked me, said, where is the ocean of love? You should know that it is within your heart. This desire to be fully aligned with Krishna and fully express myself in alignment with Krishna and his desire is already who I am. I don't really need to get it from anyone or anywhere. It's already there. I have it. Why would it cost money to get something that I already have? Why would it be trouble to get something I already have? How could there be any difficulty or obstacle to access something that I already have? And Prabhupada says here how to do this, how to realize what I already have. Have you ever done this? Have you ever thought you lost something and you found out like it was in your hand or in your pocket? Or my mother would, she'd have her glasses here. Where are my glasses? Have you ever done that? Yeah. Or you think you don't have something. Oh my God. Sometimes I buy something and I find that I already had it. Does that ever happen to you? You buy it and then you're like, oh, it was in this drawer. So how do we find the glasses on our head? The love in our hearts, it's there. And Prabhupada's saying here, man-manā bhava mad-bhakto, mad-yājī namaskuru. And he's using the words kṛṣṇa-bhāvanāmṛta. Bhava is our emotion, amrita, nectar, and then he says saṅgha in the association. So we have this saṅgha, this association, Prabhupada says here, something to work for. Our Krishna consciousness movement is therefore called kṛṣṇa-bhāvanāmṛta-saṅgha. So this is what we are meant to do with our saṅgha. This is why we go through so much trouble to build this huge city, this big temple, take care of the cows, grow vegetables, do all the cooking, all the cleaning up, take care of the camera. All these things we're doing to form this society, we're doing so we can help each other to revive our relationship with Krishna. Because even though you already have it, sometimes it takes somebody to say, hey, Mom, they're on your head. So what we're supposed to be doing for each other is to help each other remember, to help each other revive that relationship with Krishna. To talk about Krishna. I mean, sometimes we may have to talk about getting our bicycle fixed or something, but not to talk about criticizing devotees and politics and this and that, like anybody else in the world. But to help each other with Krishna, to help engage people according to their propensities, to help people to be authentic in Krishna service, to help people to fall in love with Krishna, and to do for ourselves what helps revive our Krishna consciousness. To look at the 64 angas of bhakti and say, which of these really helps me in my Krishna consciousness, and to make sure we do that daily. And whatever daily sadhana we're doing, to do that with bhavamrita, to do that with feeling. Whatever feeling is there, to access it. As Prabhupada said, take this spark and fan it. And of course, to let go of things that pull us away from kṛṣṇa-bhāvanāmṛta as much as we can. But our main emphasis is on the positive, not on the negative. Because if you fan the spark, it burns up everything else. We're not an arta-nivritti society. That's not our focus. Our focus is more on just fanning the spark, fanning the spark of arta-vritti. That's what we're supposed to be doing. And if we do that because it's already there, it starts to revive. And as it starts to revive, our faith increases. And as our faith increases, we're willing more and more and more and more to let go of our foolish and ridiculous desires to enjoy independently of Krishna. And then we don't have to take another material body due to some foolish material desires. And then even the desires we've had before, which would net us bodies for the next hundreds of births, karmadi nivartate kintu cha bhakti bhajam, they're finished. They're finished. And then we can come to the point, like in this verse, where we can say this verse genuinely, that even if Indra and Chandra and Vayu and Surya and Shiva and Brahma and everybody came in front of me and said, you can have whatever you want to enjoy independently of Krishna, we'd say, why? When I'm already fully satisfied. So questions, comments, additions, subtractions? Yes?
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for lecture. Can you explain, please, Your Grace? Soul is active and soul is self-sufficient. How these two things can be act simultaneously?
How it can be active and self-sufficient simultaneously? Yeah. I should say, I have my books here if anybody wants to purchase a book, so Mahalakshmi can. And if you hang around, I'll be happy to sell them, to sign them for you. How can the soul be active and self-sufficient simultaneously?
These two things, they are existing together. And because there was some time when Krishna was alone. Then he created all this.
Oh, but Krishna is never alone. Krishna was alone in the sense of the material manifestation, because it's not manifested. It's there, but it's not manifested. But he's never alone. It's not like, Radharani and Mother Yasoda disappear or something like that. He's just, where'd everybody go, It's not like that. So are you thinking that self-sufficiency means that therefore I have no need for action? Okay. So, do you ever do things that you don't need to do? You do them just because they're fun? Do you ever just sit with some friends and joke around? You don't need to do that. But do you ever do that? I hope so. Do you ever eat dessert? Do you need dessert? Is that one of the required food groups? Cheesecake, gulab jamans, jalebis? Do you need that? Did any doctor ever say, make sure you have a gulab jamun every day for your proper health? Do you go to the Vyas Puja feast and say, I do not need the gulab jamuns, so I will not eat them. So why do you eat them? You don't need them. So the activity of the pure soul and the activity of God is not motivated by need. It's motivated by play and love. I do things with people I love and for people I love that I don't need to do and they don't need to do. Right?
Then how this self-sufficiency is manifesting in our life? What does it mean, self-sufficient? That I am acting and I'm...
If I'm connected with Krishna, then I am aware that I have everything that I need. It's just like a healthy cell in my body. If it's working in harmony with the body, it has everything it needs. It doesn't have everything it needs independently. Self-sufficient doesn't mean I have everything I need if I'm cut off. It means I have everything I need if I'm connected. Is that okay? Anybody else? I think they want the microphone because it's being broadcast, and that way the people who are listening, who are not physically present, can hear you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, my question is that if devotee is doing a business and he prays to Krishna that there will be more and more progress in his business and using whatever the money he is earning due to that business and using for Vaishnava service, is it a material desire?
Entirely depends on the consciousness of the person.
Well, this is my desire. Thank you very much.
It entirely depends on the person's consciousness. Are they thinking, I'll make a lot of money in the business and use it for Krishna service, and that way I'll be an important person and everybody will praise me, and then I'll also live very nicely and I'll be very comfortable. Then it may be mixed. It depends on the mentality of the person. And generally these things are mixed. If it's a spiritual desire, it's more like, I would like to do this, Lord, and whatever you want. The passion is gone from it. It's like you have a boss and you present to your boss, here's a plan that could take the business forward. Here's my plan. And if the boss approves, fine. The boss doesn't approve, fine. Or the boss approves partially, fine. So you can present your plans to your boss. And whether they approve or not is up to them. And either way, you're happy, or they could partially approve. That's one way you can judge. If you present your plans to Krishna and he doesn't approve or doesn't wholly approve, and you become upset and devastated and your life is ending, then you know that it was material. That you were thinking that that particular plan was necessary for your survival and your happiness. That's one way you can tell.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Urmila Devi, for the very nice class. You were mentioning how sometimes it happens that devotee tries to be artificially fully surrendered and gives up, just sort of thinks, well, I'll just ignore whatever my material desires are and focus on pleasing Krishna, but then 10 years later, then they crash and burn.
It's very common.
So then, when we hear purports like this, Srila Prabhupada, we think, let me just, ask for pure devotional service and forget about whatever else is these nagging desires. So, but we don't want that to happen either. We don't want to crash and burn after 10 years. So in that case, should we pursue those material desires? Should we ask Krishna to fulfill the desires?
Definitely we should ask Krishna if we have something that we want. First canto Bhagavatam. Whether you have no desires, all desires, whether you just desire pure devotional service, go to Krishna for it. So first of all, this requires honesty. It requires some honesty, and it requires some humility. Two commodities that, what did Mark Twain say? Honesty is very, the truth is very valuable, so I don't use it very much. So these are very rare commodities, especially in Kali Yuga, honesty and humility. So to be an introspective sage and be honest, what is it I actually want? And ask Krishna to show you what you actually want. You may be surprised. When he starts showing you this kind of sewer in your heart of all these things that you want. And say, Krishna, these are the things that I want. They are genuinely the things that I'm wanting. And then I put them to him. You deal with these as you like. Please deal with these as you like in a way that I'll actually feel satisfied. And let him decide. Some of those material desires you'll just lose your taste for without any effort at all. The Christians call that the dark night of the soul. The dark night of the soul, people often don't understand what it means. What it means is that you become purified without being aware of it. It happens in the dark night. Ravinda Prabhu talks about this, how he started chanting Hare Krishna and all of a sudden didn't want to smoke anymore. And he's like, what happened? What kind of mantra is this? And he stopped chanting. Because he thought... So some of our material desires will go away like that. We're engaged in bhakti, and all of a sudden we may realize, oh, I used to want that, and I don't want it anymore. We don't even know how we lost the desire for it. Other things will go away that Krishna will reveal to us, as Prabhupada said, the naked form of our desires. We'll see it for what it is. Maybe we'll see it in someone else. I had that experience. I was talking to one god sister, and she was talking on and on and on about how she wanted to make a lot of money, and that's all she ever talked about, and find Mr. Perfect. And every time she talked to me, it was only about that. And seeing that in her, I was just like, ah. And I was like, nah. Sometimes we may go through it ourselves. I know one devotee was a sannyasi, gave up his sannyas, gave up Krishna consciousness, married a non-devotee, became very rich. Non-devotee divorced him, took him through the ringer, and he said to me, I had a marriage right out of the 5th canto, Forest of Material Enjoyment. I got to experience that the Bhagavatam is true, and now he's back in the fire of bhakti. So sometimes Krishna may fulfill our desires in that way. And sometimes Krishna may fulfill our desires in a way that we say, wow, it's wonderful, I have the perfect everything, but it doesn't satisfy me. Whatever it is we wanted, I got the multi-million-dollar business and I saw, So Krishna has so many ways, when we give our desires to him, he has so many ways of dealing with those desires so that we come to the real desire. Let him take care of our lives. Otherwise, we're trying to hide a part of ourselves and from him, and then he can't really help us very well. It restricts his ability to deal with us. Just exactly like if someone says, how do I get to your house? I have to know where they are. If they're not honest about where they are, I cannot direct them properly. Now, of course, Krishna knows where I am, even if I don't know where I am. But if I'm not honest about where I am, it's difficult for him to direct me properly. And it becomes quite painful for me. Because Krishna says, you should turn right here, but I don't want to turn right there because I'm not being honest. So the more honest I am and the more amenable I am to Krishna's guidance, the more the way he directs me is very joyful. And if I'm trying to pretend I'm something that I'm not, then the more the way he directs me is very painful. So I have a note here that I'm supposed to be finished by 9 a.m. and it is 9:04, so I'm going to stop now. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So the books we have there's a Krishna conscious novel, How to Attain Krishna Prema, and it's written in language for the general public, so you can give it as a book to non-devotee friends.